India and Panama have close relationship, in fact historic relationship. In the past there have been high level engagement, and we recently saw an inter-party delegation traveling to the country in the aftermath of Operation Sindoor. With me is the Vice Minister in the Foreign Ministry, Mr. Carlos, here in India to have engagement, to have talks. Let's understand about your visit. Welcome to WION, sir.
Thank you, Sid.
And my first question to you is what's the basic engagement you're looking at here in India? Because it's after some time that there is a visit coming from Panama, and essentially, how do you characterize the relationship between the two countries?
I think it's a fantastic relationship, a historical relationship that we are looking to strengthen, and we are looking for more closeness. The delegation that you mentioned, we received a high-level parliamentary delegation led by His Excellency Mr. Shashi Tharoor, and we had some distinguished members of parliament there, with whom we engaged and encountered. So we had great conversation on how we can make our relationship more dynamic and more fluid. As you mentioned, perhaps because of the distance, perhaps because of the language, there hasn't been, even though there is a long history of friendship, there hasn't been that closeness in terms of trade, in terms of cultural exchange, and we're looking to improve and increase on that. I'm not sure if you know this, but in Panama we have a very important, thriving Indian community. They are Panamanian Indian. Right now they're in the second, third, fourth generation, and they are people who create jobs, have big businesses. They are active both in their cultural heritage and as Panamanian citizens, commercially, culturally, politically. So we are hoping to leverage that, I would say, pre-existing friendship to make sure that we take it to the next level. And what is the next level? I would say is more political cohesiveness, is more commercial relationship, is mutual investment. We would certainly like to see more Indian companies come to Panama and invest and benefit from our great logistics hub. We are certainly at the center of the American continent, and we have a lot to offer to Indian community in general, but Indian businesses that I'm sure will be very attractive.
And you also want India to join a certain protocol that is about neutrality of the Panama Canal. So if you can perhaps explain about this certain protocol and as to how it benefits India as well, and as to how it benefits Panama.
Yeah, certainly. So the Panama Canal is the crown jewel, the heart and soul of our country. And the neutrality treaty, which has been in force since 1977 when it was signed, is a very important international document that was initially signed between Panama and the United States. Both countries are committed to the treaty, and at this period in time where there is so much, I would say, change is a good word. In this change, we are looking to reiterate the importance and the strength of a neutral Panama Canal. India is certainly a global powerhouse, almost in every aspect, and certainly a very important seafaring nation. So, being both a big user of the Panama Canal, being a country with a lot of seafarers that go through the Panama Canal, we believe that India's adhesion to the Panama Canal Neutrality Treaty would certainly strengthen the treaty, which is, again, already strong, already enforced. We have 40 countries that are members. And adding India, which is about 15% of global population, would certainly be a good message internationally, obviously for the Panama Canal, but also for India, that it is taking a step to perhaps look to an area that is geographically far away, but that is still strategically very important for Indian diplomacy and for Indian commerce.
Areas of collaboration, there are several. There's education, you are keen that there's IIT in Panama, there's pharma, and then there is, of course, areas like semiconductors. Perhaps you can sum it up as to how do you see the areas of collaboration?
Sure. So, first of all, with IIT, often referred to as the MIT of Asia, what we are looking for is for them to have in the region a hub so that they can use Panama as the place where the international students of Latin America can go to study. Because of our connectivity, we have direct flights to almost every capital city in the Americas and a fantastic airline from Panama. We would be the ideal place for a regional, I would say, center for studies. However that look, you need to think about Panama not in the 4.5 million people that live there, but in the more than 400 people that have direct access to it with one single flight. So in that sense, education is a very strong part of our agenda. We are in the process of raising the level of our industrial, I would say, ambitions and our industrial capacities. India certainly is one of the global leaders in this sense. And what we'd like to do is create a virtuous cycle where we have higher education that is aimed at high-level industrial capabilities, services, and intellectual property, which benefits from our logistics, both air, land, and obviously sea, I would say hub, so that the entire operation can be self-complementary. That will be the idea. And the areas of opportunity with India for us are immense because, let's say pharma, for example. Pharma can benefit from the three items that I mentioned, plus the fact that Panama has the most robust free trade agreement structure in the entire American continent. So if, for example, you establish a pharmaceutical company in Panama, you can really access with beneficial treatment to a lot of the markets in Latin America, even Europe. So that we believe will prove fertile ground for closeness and collaboration with India.
And closeness and collaboration on businesses, investment and trade. If you can perhaps talk about it, because there have been positive developments regarding your country. You have been removed from the FATF, you have been removed from the EU list as well. You're going to host an important economic meet next year in January. So how do you plan to invite Indian businesses and why should an Indian business person invest in your country?
So our president has been leading a very strong campaign since he took office on July 1st, 2024, to reclaim Panama's position of, I would say, goodwill, of high status, of good reputation, that it had been somewhat attacked or losing or not promoting as hard in the last decade or so. So that effort has been fruitful in our very recent exclusion, like you mentioned, from the EU list, on the AML list. These are recognition to the strong political and technical work that has been going on with the president's leadership. And the idea or the ambition behind having this summit, which you mentioned, which is being called Davos of Latin America, organized by the CAF. And this year was the first year and it was a massive success. Next year, we will hopefully have, he is confirmed that our inaugural speaker will be President Lula da Silva from Brazil, a fellow BRICS member and a very reputed world leader, who is also a close friend with President Mulino. And what we would like to see is a convergence that benefits Panama, yes, of course, but also the entire region. We want to be able to host this summit that has participation from all of our Latin American neighbors and our regional partners, so that we can include world interests. From India, definitely. We had a visit from Foreign Minister Jankashar a year and a half ago. So having these platforms for us to show the world what Panama is really about is extremely important to us. And we are certain that next year will be even more successful than this year, and that it will become a staple of Latin American diplomacy and Latin American commerce.
So you started your interview by talking about the inter-party delegation that visited your country. There were a lot of engagements. We heard the Indian side, the Panamanian side as well. How has your country supported India in the aftermath of the Pahalgam terror attack? We know that this was a major terror attack in India, and India responded as well. So how have been the Panamanian government not only stood by India but also supported India?
Yeah, sure. I think we were among the first countries to react. We issued a statement immediately condemning the attack, making sure that our position was very well established and very clear. We continue in this position wholeheartedly. We believe India is a close friend and should not be subject to any type of terrorist activities at all. In this case, it was particularly disturbing that the attacks happened to a group of people that were actually on their way to celebrate life. No? So our position continues to be of full support. We understand that India was indeed, I would say, we commend India for showing such restraint and chirurgical response to the attacks, so as not to elevate the tensions and perhaps escalate the conflict of an already historically complex relationship. In Panama, India is seen as a peace-loving, inclusive society. And it is also important that India shows that it accompanies that with humble strength, which is what we have seen. And I think that is very respectable. We fully support India's position in this sense, that the attacks are completely heinous. And we will continue now in our presidency of the United Nations Security Council in the month of August. So this Friday, Panama will officially become president of the Security Council for a full month. And these subjects will obviously be part of the agenda. And we have to make sure that every country understands that it has a responsibility to take care of its territory and to not foster this type of activity in any way, shape, or form, because it's unacceptable.
How has Panama supported India on Kashmir, and what's your view about Operation Sindoor, that is India's right to defend itself in the aftermath of the terror attack?
Well, I think our support has been political and diplomatic support. and it will continue to be such because we believe it's right. We believe that is the right side of history to be in. It is perhaps difficult for us to support in any different form than that. We don't have probably the capacity or the reach to do so. And we fully respect India's right to protect itself, and protect itself also means to deter other actors from thinking that they can commit such acts and that they will go unpunished. It is clear that they will not, and that is something that I think is very important. The rule of law and the respect for a state and international law needs to be accompanied by a reciprocal respect. And that is the basis of international relations.
Last question on this subject itself. What's your relationship with Pakistan? Because here in India, Pakistan is seen as an epicenter of terrorism, the country that has been involved in cross-border terrorism in India.
Well, we have diplomatic relations with Pakistan. They are currently a member of the UN Security Council. We have a respectful relationship with them. We understand that it's a country that has gone through a lot of difficulties in this sense of terrorism and groups that have been operating in its territory. So it is a very difficult challenge, and I believe the world should support any government action that Pakistan takes in order to eliminate these groups from operating within its borders. So hopefully they are on the same page as the rest of the world is with that, and that the tensions with its neighbors, and especially with India, don't escalate, because we know that the issue is structural, right? It goes back to partition. It goes back to why is it two countries where it used to be one. So we know that part. We can somehow empathize, being Panamanians and Panama being a department of Colombia for a period of 80 years, how there can be some hard feelings that are lingering in time. But I hope that the terrorist attacks can prove, after everything is said and done, that can prove to be a new reason for peace.
You mentioned about your UNSC presidency, and India has friends at the UNSC, and you are one of them. What's your key priorities as the UNSC non-permanent member? Your priorities also as the president of the UNSC for the month of August, if you can give a general overview.
Yeah, so our main subject, especially on the high-level session that will take place on August 11th, and that our president José Raúl Mulino Quintero will preside, is going to be on maritime security. So that is going to be the main concern, because of our position, because of the Panama Canal, the reliance of global trade on the Panama Canal. And we also have a big responsibility on other committees that we need to make sure are going fluidly. So, for example, Al-Shabaab in Somalia. We currently preside that committee. So we need to make sure that action is being taken. The same with the 1540 committee, which is the non-proliferation committee. This is a very important one that we are also co-opening. And in this committee, we need to make sure that all members, not just UN Security Council members, are aware of the importance of Resolution 1540 and non-proliferation, non-financing, actually, what we discussed on our exclusion from the EU list, I think is a testament to our commitment not to foster any type of activity, as well as the security concerns that we have taken into account to make sure our logistics hub is safe, right? We certainly don't want any illegal weapons or illegal gas, oil, you name it, going through the Panama Canal. We are a kind of a gatekeeper for world trade in that sense. And the presidency will be quite proactive so that we are showing Panama as a country committed to international law, a country that even though it's small in size, it's really big in heart, it's really big in commitment to international order. And we would like to see active participation from all of the members and non-members.
And what's your view, stance on the UNSC reforms? Because India has been very keen on UNSC reforms. It's the fifth largest economy, the most populated country on the planet, but it's not at the high table. It's not a permanent member. So what's your stance on that as well?
Well, I think India welcomed our foreign minister remarks when the high-level parliamentary delegation went to visit, that Panama would support the inclusion of India as a permanent member in the UN Security Council. Just the stats that you gave make up for it. The United Nations is turning 80 years old now, so it's probably time for an honest introspection by all the members. And an important figure, for example, is that the United Nations has 3,600 mandates. Now, these mandates probably overlap and overstep into each other. So the UN has to be able to evolve like any institution to make up or to take into account the current global situations. And I believe India's case for being a permanent member is quite clear. No? It's apart from what you mentioned, it's a very well-respected member of the international community. It's a leader in many respects, and not in the least in a political respect. It's a great moment for Indian leadership in the world. You have a prime minister that is widely regarded as a great figure and as a great leader. So maybe the time is right.
Before I conclude the India bit and then I go to the global bit as well, my last question on the India bit is the diaspora. You have 15,000 people who are Indian origin, Indian diaspora, which is the largest in the Central American region, and it's surprised to see so many Indians there as well, especially for Indians here. But Indians have played an important part in your history, especially in the construction of the Panama Canal as well. So if you can perhaps give a slight overview, a sense as to how the Indians have been part of Panama society.
So Panama has been a place of transit for hundreds of years. If you go back even to the colonial times, it was a place of transit between the gold mines in Peru, then to Panama, and then to Spain. And obviously people from Spain and from the Caribbean and the colonies down to the new colonies in the south. The Indian diaspora, which as you said numbers in 15,000 and is quite active, has been successful on all fronts. They are very proactive in the business community. They are very proactive religiously. They are cultural reminders of their ancestral home. So that part they keep alive, and we enjoy quite a lot. I was joking with the ambassador that the best samosas in the world are not made in India, but in Panama by Panamanian Indians.
I need to have a taste of them.
Yes, of course. You are cordially invited to Panama, and I will make sure that you have a family dinner that you will feel just at home with a Panamanian flair or twist. One of the good things about Panama is that even though we may be all, we have different ancestors and our cultures are different, we are indeed one people. So I don't think in Panama we see the Indian diaspora or community as being Indian. No, we see them as being Panamanian, then Indian, right? Now we're in the second, third, fourth generation. And they are leaders of industry, commerce, construction, cars, technology. And we are hopeful that they can become champions of Panama and invite even more Indians to look that way for their future and for investments and for prosperity.
Now, going to the international aspect, we live in times which are very unstable, and I mean, we have several wars going on. Now, Panama has been in global headlines primarily because of US President Donald Trump. He has been saying that he would like to reclaim the Panama Canal. We all know the backstory as well. So what's your view? How is it going to go forward? Do you think that is it a possibility ever that what Donald Trump wants will happen?
Well, I will go back to first principles, no? And first principles here is that who is the historically strongest and deepest ally of Panama? And something important here, it doesn't mean that because we are allies, everything has been perfect or good all the time. Actually, because we have such a complex history of highs and lows, is that we are so strongly tied together. We are in the American continent, the continent of the Americas. We are the geopolitically most important point in the American continent. That obviously means that for the global superpower that is the US, Panama is of paramount importance. If you look at it from the US's perspective, Panama is certainly more important because of the canal than any of our neighbors, no? At least for their interests. So when you hear the rhetoric that was coming out, you probably want to think of how it relates to their own interests rather than what Panama may have been doing. No? Obviously, we reject the claims that there is any foreign influence on the Panama Canal from any country. And we don't see the development of this situation to escalate. I think the most complex part is already in the past. We are looking to strengthen our relationship with the US. They understand very well that the Panama Canal under Panamanian hands is managed to a incredible degree of proficiency. We have expanded the Panama Canal with our own investment and our own risk, and it was a great expansion that benefit. The number one port that was benefited from the Panama Canal expansion was actually the port of Houston. So I don't think we will see any more diplomatic or any other type of escalation on the situation. Obviously, challenges may arise. It's uncertain times, and when are they not uncertain times? But we don't foresee this to become a bigger issue than it was.
Now coming to China, you withdrew from the BRI. What was the specific reason for withdrawing from the BRI, which is a flagship initiative of the Chinese government?
Well, I think it didn't really align with our geopolitical strategy. We have not seen a direct benefit from it. So it didn't really make sense to continue down that path. We have diplomatic relations with China. They are quite new. They are about to turn 8 years old. So they were established in 2017, and they were perhaps a decision from the president in that moment, from the president in 2017. And now that is a situation that we are living with. We have a good relationship with them. We like to maintain our relationships, right? It's a little bit like being a, I'm not going to say an ant, but it's a little bit like being a rabbit in the middle of an elephant fight. We need to be very agile, we need to be very careful, so as a global confrontation that has really nothing to do with Panama, we don't get dragged into it, and we certainly don't want to be dragged into it because we have nothing to do with it.
So my last question, the Global South, you're part of the Global South, India is part of the Global South, India has led many initiatives, in fact hosted the Voice of the Global South Summit as well. So how do you see India as the voice of the Global South and essentially Indian initiatives in which you are part of, the International Solar Alliance, so a sense which can be given?
Well, we celebrate and we look towards India's leadership for development and for cooperation. The South has been historically lagging region across the board. So these types of initiatives, I believe, want to increase the ground, right? The ground level to be higher and for them not to have a ceiling. We do foresee Latin America as being probably the region in the best position going into the 22nd century, right? Why is this? Our population is growing. We have been, I would say, lagging in development, but technology has made up grounds for it. We have a lot of ambitious, entrepreneurial, spirited young people that are looking beyond their own country's borders and now thinking of how they can participate in the world. This is something that India has led in. India has been a world participant. They have been either directly or indirectly for a long time, be it as provider of goods and now as creator of intellectual property, technology that is being recreated and that is being licensed all around the world. So I would say spending time with leaders who are perhaps able to see more of a complete picture of the world because they are more, perhaps to a bigger participation in the global stage, definitely benefits Panama, and I believe the entire Latin American region will benefit from initiatives like this.
Well, on that note, thank you so much, sir, for speaking to WION.
Thank you, Sid.
It was a very extensive interview, and we got to know your mind, Panama's mind, as to how they see India as, how the future looks like, and essentially the convergences as well. Thank you so much, and perhaps not only the engagement will continue, it will grow. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, and we expect you in Panama to have those Panamanian Indian samosas.
For sure, sir. I love to have them.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.